welcome. Welcome back to the show. So happy that you're here. So happy that we get to be together in the beginning of this week. Welcome in and let's get ready to rise. We're going to take some deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. We have our live audience today here in the Zoom room. Those of you joining us on Spotify and Apple and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. Hello, hello, hello. We're so happy to all be together and creating a global ripple effect of positivity and of goodness, and to help us have an absolutely extraordinary week. Whatever point in the week or month or year that you're listening to this or watching this, you're here for a reason at this exact time. And we came together today to create a shift and to create a rise. So I'm excited to do that together. Something we like to do in our coaching programs is rub your hands together, which will open up the right and left hemisphere of the brain in preparation to learn, to expand, to grow. And so it's really awesome to get to come together in this place where we can take a pause from everything that's pulling at you outside this moment and get into the place of your own power, your own agency, your connection, your what's next. All right. So we're in the middle of an exciting series. We're doing this sort of tandem series, Defying Gravity. And gravity, we're defining in this series as the stuff that is freaking you out, pulling you down, causing you stress, oppressing you. Maybe it's even just something you just haven't figured out, that there's an opportunity or a challenge. So that's the gravity in this analogy and the metaphor that we're using here. Okay, the gravity of our lives. It could be external, it could be internal. So gravity, being able to define what that is, and then if you're joining me over on Instagram, pretty much 4 or 5 times a week, then we're talking about what are laser strategies to shift that, and then that opens us up for abundance. And Suzanne Longstreet and I have our new book coming out next month, The Millionaire Codes, which is really going to help you put into practice as you lift off and defy gravity. You're going to have access to 10 codes that can create not only financial abundance, but health abundance and purpose and creative abundance and all these exciting things that we want to do. And so you're going to have access to the Millionaire Codes, and we've done some of them here live on the show. We'll be doing more. And then in May, the beginning of May, those of you that are joining us in Palm Desert, we are going to be live together for 3 days of powerful experiential transformational work to defy any gravity that's left over, right? In a year like this, I think there'll be some. And you're going to be learning 3 new speaking frameworks to be able to go make an impact through your speaking. You're going to be getting to experience some really powerful new strategies that are about relational, not transactional marketing and brand building and connecting with ideal clients. You're going to be meeting great people. So if you do not have your ticket for that, then make sure that you get that today, and we'll share the link. Team, if we can make sure that's shared on all the social platforms, podcast avenues, and here in the Zoom room, if we can share that link. And as part of one of the practices for me that helps me defy gravity is to get into a virtual or physical room with people who are committed to rising. There is a lot of conversation right now that is in the doom scrolling category, right? There's a lot of conversation right now that can fill us with anxiety, fill us with fear, catastrophizing, futurizing. It's very available right now. And so for me, one of the strategies, and we want to talk about that today, is what are we doing to be in a virtual or a physical space in conversation that is going to lift us up, that is going to help us stay on purpose, that is going to help us be the kind of leaders that the world needs right now. You all come here because you're all out there leading and serving and giving a lot, and this is your space. My intention is that this is your space to come in and get filled up. And so one of the ways that I defy gravity is to get into the space where I can be inundated in my mind with positivity, with possibility, with solutions. And we've been talking about a lot of those techniques here. So what I want to focus on today, right, is what are the ways that you on a daily, monthly, and annual basis are getting in a room, a virtual or literal room, where you are able to expand and be in your power and be in your purpose, right? That's one of the ways we defy gravity. And so I'm going to share what I do in the morning, day to day, and then we're going to be together all next week, 12 to 1 every single day. It's completely free, where we're going to be focusing on revenue generating through your thought leadership. 5 days, 5 monetizing strategies with your books, with your speaking. So that's what we're focusing on in our next boot camp is revenue generating strategies Monday through Friday, March 17th to the 21st, 12 to 1 Eastern. It's completely free. The link is here in the chat. And I'm really excited to have this week together, because if a lot of the talk in the world, in the media, in the social media is fear, 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 economy, 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 oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, we must intervene. We must do something differently to steep. I think of myself like a tea bag. What liquid am I steeping in? And if I'm steeping in fear, anxiety, catastrophizing, which I can go to easily in my mind, right? That is not going to help me get any new ideas. That's not where, remember, anxiety kills creativity. But creativity shuts down anxiety, right? Martha Beck's doing gorgeous work on that right now. So we got to shut down the anxiety and get in the room next week together all week so that we can be in a state of power and possibility and your innate purpose, so that this does not drag you down, right? And then we're going to be together in person, in Palm Desert. So thank you so much, team, for sharing the link for the Monetize Your Thought Leadership Bootcamp. And then if you could just also share the link for Palm Desert, so for people that want to get that. All right. So make sure that you are coming to these events. Next week is virtual. You don't have to go anywhere. You can be in your pajamas. You can do whatever you want. It's free. If you come to Palm Desert, yeah, we gotta like travel there and get in that room. But when I look back at what has made the pivotal rises of my last few years, it is being in the rooms virtually and in person. That's where the turning points have happened. The turning points in making the connections for collaborations and relationships, the turning points in getting my mindset, my subconscious and subconscious mind lined up so that I can expand, and then the turning point so I can be of service to the world and create the abundance that I'm feeling called to create. All right. So we are going to be together all the time, right? Come to the boot camp. You're going to do millionaire codes with Suzanne and I, and then come to Palm Desert and get in. We are going to do a year's worth of transformation in 3 days. I can feel it. I already know what's already come through for that event. It's going to be very, very, very powerful. So make sure you have your tickets to that. Okay. So what are we steeping in right now? I want you to just give yourself a little inventory of what are you taking in and consuming right now when you start your day. So I want you to ask yourself, are you opening your phone and looking at social media or text messages or emails when you first wake up? Some of you might be, and if that serves you and has you feeling good, fantastic. If, however, that practice fills you with fear and anxiety and spin, then the invitation is to think of a different experience for yourself. What could be, I do not look at anything in the what we'd put under the umbrella of communications, from the regular world. I don't look at it for at least an hour. I have gotten up, I have meditated first, I have moved my body, I have done my goal setting process that we teach here, your epic 90 days. I am doing morning pages, I'm doing visualization, I'm doing all that right before I am interacting. So I'm already in state, the kind of state I want to be in, that's going to let me be the kind of leader I want to be in my own head, and then with my child, my husband, my community, as a coach, as a writer, right? So it's super, super, super important that we are deciding, what are we steeping in? especially right when we wake up, because that's just inundating. So I watch YouTube videos of people that are inspiring to me. I listen to audiobooks or podcasts after I do my silent meditation, right? When I'm doing my movement, that's what I'm doing. So a lot of you start the day with your gratitudes, you start with mindset, you start with those things. If you are already, I want you to think about, is there a supersize move? Is there something else you want to add to your morning routine or swap in your morning routine that would give you even more of a lift, right? Because we're talking about defying gravity. If you are not doing that and you are finding yourself turning on the news or something else that's making you feel very upset, then think about abstaining from that for the first 15 minutes or even 5 minutes or ideally hour of your day, right? And so I want you to just think about, what are you immersed in, right? We are all immersed in whatever ecosystem. So right now, something that's really helping me is to even up my time. I'm doing more meditations throughout the day. I'm taking more pauses to get myself back aligned and in state, right? So here's some techniques we've been sharing in here. I just want to review some so that if you haven't caught any of, those particular episodes, right? We've talked about the problem solution stone. You can take a rock, you can take any object, and on one side write P, and on one side write S. And then throughout the day, carry that around with you and just notice, am I focusing on problems or solutions? Right? When I'm spinning out and freaking out, then I'm in the P side, and I can just love myself and say, "Oh, look, I'm in the P side of my rock. I'm going to flip that over. What would it be? What would happen if I flipped it over? And if I was only on solutions, where would my mind go?" Right? That's a way that we can instantly defy gravity, the gravity of anxiety, the gravity of freakouts, the gravity of whatever it is. So, problem solution, you can use a physical object like a rock or a piece of paper that says P or S, and then use that throughout the day just with loving kindness to ourselves. Oh, I'm back over in problems. Okay. All right. Is that feeling good? How's that working out for me? Like Dr. Phil would say, right? And then can I flip that over? And if I were focusing on solutions, what would my next move be? What would my next thought be? Right? The next one I want to talk about is the what's working now game. So our mind is going to want to absolutely, because of the negativity bias, because of the way we're wired evolutionarily, the right word, right? How we are wired, how we've evolved is that we focus on threats, we focus on the problems, we focus on fears, we catastrophize, we futurize. That's what we're wired to do. So we've got to create new wire. We've got to rewire. How do we rewire? Well, we're going to rewire by saying, okay, instead of that, I am going to now play the what is working. Our mind could come up with a really big, juicy list. I could take us to the rest of this episode. What are all the things that maybe are unsolved, uncertain, not the way you want them to be? But what is working? How many of you right now can think of at least one thing in your life that's working? It could be your health. It could be a particular relationship. It could be just that you have shelter, you have heat. If you're in a cold climate like I am, that it got up to over 50 degrees in Chicago yesterday. I got to walk outside in the sunshine. That is working. That is working for me after -12 a few weeks ago. Working, right? What is working now game? It's like doing a gratitude list. It is a causative energy. It will change your hormones. It will change your synapses. What synapses are firing in the brain? What's working now game? All right. So you can use your problem solution object to see when you're in the problem, when you're in the solution. And then what's going to help you think of great solutions is to play the what's working. Even if 9 things are just feeling like they're on fire, but there's one thing working, you focus on that one thing for a few minutes. Okay. The third and final thing I want to talk about to defy gravity this week is serving. What does that mean? When I feel like I'm in my head freaking out about a problem that needs to be solved or a situation or a fear that I'm having, I take a deep breath and I think, who could I make a difference for in this moment? Who could I make a difference for in this moment? And it could be anyone from someone in my neighborhood who I walked out since I was on this walk because it was actually warm enough to be on a walk. I walked by and someone had littered in their yard. And so I thought, well, let me pick up that trash. It's not my yard. I don't have to pick up that trash, but I'm walking by. Why don't I pick up the trash? Right? That's a tiny little thing that no one will even notice. Who cares? But then who else could I be of service for? You know, is there someone I know who's having a challenge? My mother-in-law just had a surgical procedure. So I messaged her and I said, "Hey, how's the recovery going? What would you love me to have could I send dinner to you tomorrow night?" To you and my father-in-law. Or if you're not hungry, if you're not feeling well, because you know how sometimes after surgery, you don't want to eat anything. I'm like, what would feel really good to you? And she basically just said, you know what? Is if you just make me laugh, send me something funny, tell me a funny story, do something goofy, right? Because she didn't really feel hungry for something. And I didn't want to send flowers because, if you're recovering too, you sometimes don't want certain smells. Like I just wasn't sure what she doesn't live where I live. I can't go over and like rub her feet. Right. And so just so who could I make a difference for today? And what will happen, of course, we all know this 12-step programs are built on this. Many religious practices are built on this, that as we serve others, we get out of ourselves and we will feel very differently. We will feel better, right? And in the meantime, you've hooked someone up. You've made a difference. So I've done this when we've had really hard times in our business. At different times, we've had, business traumas. And instead of shrinking into myself and wanting to go like, oh God, I don't know, it's like, how can I show up and actually serve even bigger? Who could I make a difference for today? Right? And that helps us defy gravity because suddenly, instead of worrying about, what's not happening um, in leadership in the world, how can we be a leader in our own space and make a difference? There is no doubt that if every one of us listening to this today just went out and did one random act of kindness, that it would change the vibration on planet Earth. Just one random act of kindness today could change a whole bunch of things. And sometimes we might get inspired to do a really big thing for someone. There's something we could really, really make happen. And then sometimes it could be, again, picking up some wrappers someone chucked in someone's yard. They both matter. You matter and you make a difference and you have more power than you think you have. And where we get into the gravity and we feel pulled down is because we think we don't have choices. We think we don't have power. We think we don't have an answer. We think we don't have the resources we need. And sometimes in the 3D world, we really don't. But when we give and serve, new ideas will open up. That is a causative energy. It's a generous energy. It's a love energy, and that's high vibration. And I can't be serving someone and freaking about it at my own, at the exact same minute. So I'd love to hear those of you in our live audience, what's resonating for you from this? What is a defying gravity practice that you want to use this week, even today, before you go to sleep? Like, is it a random act of kindness? Is it the service piece? It doesn't have to be random. Like it could be a very conscious act of kindness. There's someone that's a client of yours or a friend of yours or a colleague of yours that you could help in some way. And it's like, how much good can I do before I go to bed tonight? That is going to change the vibration of how we feel about life, about ourselves and the world. And it's going to bring in new ideas. Maybe you're going to play the what's working now game. You've been really working on what's not working, and you're just going to commit between now and the end of the day. I'm going to think of everything that is working. I'm going to acknowledge it. I'm going to put my attention on it because whatever we focus on increases. Or maybe you just are it's so tempting and seductive right now to focus on problems. You're going to carry something around with you and do your problem solution practice. Am I focusing on the problem? If I am, total love, no big deal. Great to notice. Flip it over. What's the solution? Right? Or you can do all three. Yeah. We can reach out to people. We can serve, we can share. As hard a time as you might be having right now, there is someone that you could help. Right? It's so powerful. It's so powerful. And if we all just walked around like this, we'd all be feeling differently about our world, right? So I'm doing this right. This isn't something I'm like, oh, and I've read about this. Like, this is what I'm doing day to day to defy gravity, right? If we think about the song from the movie or the play Wicked, right? I'm through accepting limits because others say they're so. So if others are saying the world is on fire and a nightmare and we're effed and it's all the worst and I'm not going to accept that limitation. Yeah, some of you are going to switch your morning routine and just put in some time to connect directly with source before you engage in the three-dimensional world, 5D before 3D. And then I just, as many times a day as I need to, say, "Ooh, I get to pause and realign. Get to take that deep breath. I'm going to lay down on the floor and I'm going to breathe with some alpha theta music, get my brain in a different brain state." Right? That's available for free on YouTube. That's something that's working. We can go on YouTube at any moment and just say, give me a meditation on abundance, on self-love, on positivity, on faith, right? It's there for us at every moment. All right. So that's what we're focusing on today. Defying gravity. And if you just jumped on in, if some of you jumped into the main audience reminders, the first thing we started with today, for me, my defying gravity practice that has been the pivotal one of these last, 10 years in business, is to get in the room, the virtual room or the physical room, in a high vibration state. And so I truly, invite you and encourage you to come next week. We're going to be together doing 5 days of revenue generation, 5 days to monetize your book, your thought leadership, your speaking, and be in that high vibration of abundance. And it's free. You got nothing to lose, right? If you can't come live, you can listen to the replays. All right. So make sure you have your ticket to that. And then make sure that you have your ticket to Palm Desert for the Defying Gravity in-person experience, where we're going to be together May 6th through the 8th. All right. Because it's really important for me when I look back at what has made the biggest differences. The big leaps have come when I have been in the space to expand both what's happening inside me and my strategy. All right. So we've got tons of support to do this. We do not have to do it alone. Thank God. And we're going to defy gravity. You could use one thing from today, or you can use the whole thing as your little workout program, right? Your defying gravity workout program. And then next week, we're going to be together for the very first day of revenue generation, monetizing your book and thought leadership. All right. So you all are doing amazing. I'm so thrilled that you're here. I'm so happy. What's one thing that's working now? Those of you in the live audience, let's type it in, and I'll read it out to all of you watching and listening to this in the other platforms. All right. What is working now? Let's get ourselves into a state of recognizing that no matter what's going on, there are things that are working. And when we focus on what's working, more of what's working will happen. New ideas will come because we will actually be in a receptive state. Okay. So yeah. So Deb is sharing in our studio audience, you're feeling inspired. That is working now. Yes. Yes. That's awesome. I love it. Right? Yes. Spend a great weekend with your family. So family connections and love. Coach Bob, you're always in a receptive state. Yes, phenomenal. I love this. Karen, losing weight and getting in shape. How glorious does that feel? Yes, health and fitness and vitality. Having awesome, positive communities like Thought Leader Academy, Julie. Yes, me seeing all your faces right now, it's lifting. It's lifting me up. Continuing that mindset work because it's so powerful, Suzanne. Yes, Suzanne, finishing our book and knowing that's coming out next month. I mean, it's going into, it's at the publisher. Like, that's working. Amazing. Knowing we can let go of trauma through mindset, Jody. Yes, 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 yes. We're going to do so much good work on that in Palm Desert. Yeah, super powerful. So you all are amazing. And when you take this energy out in the world, other people are going to feel it. They're going to calm down just by being in your presence, not even knowing why. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So get your tickets to both of those events so that you know you are going to have the really big leaps. We're going to be levitating. Yes, so good. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. Have a good one.